Hello there, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you're doing well. I'm taping this really early on Friday morning, May the 30th. Haven't checked in with you in a couple of days. Just had a super, super, super busy week, as many of you may have known if you connect with me here on the channel. Thank you so much. I am taking the summer off from my personal readings, from my bookings. So this month has been closing out. This month has been super, super busy with readings, for which I thank so many of you. I love doing that. I love connecting with you. Remember as well, my members, if you are a member of this channel, if you're interested, you can check the description box below for how to join. But one of the bonus things that I give for my members is we do a live private Zoom meeting the last Friday of each month. So we've got one coming up tonight. Looking forward to seeing you there. And let's get into some stuff, you all. Oh, by the way, if you're not familiar with me, my name is Afefe Touchba with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. I am a tarot reader forever. Been doing it for many, 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 many years. I'm also a former newspaper journalist, so that gives you an idea of how I approach my readings. I try to halfway know what I'm talking about, do my research, etc. But then we go to spirit to get deeper understanding and insight into connections, because and on some level we're all dependent on what we see covered in media, social media, other platforms, YouTube platforms, etc. So it helps to go to spirit and just get a deeper understanding, somewhat predictive, but we also understand that when we get into predictions, energies can shift. Spirit will never overtake somebody's free will. So there's the likelihood, there's energy that's moving in a certain direction, and then boom, somebody can decide to do something that influences or disrupts that energy. So that's one thing, as a reader, as a spiritualist, I do encourage us to stay patient with, because things are evolving as people take certain actions. All right, and that includes us. Last thing I will mention is that I am an initiated priestess in both Wiccan and African traditions. So I got a lot of stuff on my plate, and I try to use all of that to give you good content here. Please, please, please remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and if you're so inclined, hit your notifications bell. That way you'll never miss when I do a taping. All right, y'all, let's get to a couple of things. So Katie Miller, wife of Stephen Miller, deciding to exit the White House to go along full time with Elon Musk. A lot of people didn't have that on their bingo cards, and so it's been really all day yesterday. It was kind of entertaining to see social media light up with all these rumors about them being a throuple for entertainment purposes only, right? Let me go ahead and get that part out there. That this was something, something really going on. That Stephen Miller was really hot, and then there have been predictions, people making, placing odds and bets on, oh, okay, so how long is this marriage gonna last? Apparently they haven't been married that long. I think they got married in 2020, Stephen Miller and Katie Miller. She, by the way, for those of you who may not know, I didn't realize it either. She was Mike Pence's former communications director, right? So she's been an operative in those circles for quite some time. I am interested to see what this is really all about. Why she decided to move out of her function in DC and go full time with Elon Musk. What that really is about. And I've got some ideas, Spirit's saying on some level, this is more about Musk continuing to feel that he has some sort of influence and access to FDT. I call him FDT, fake felon fraud DT. Entertainment purposes only. So I'm wondering if that is a part of it, if she's sort of like an insurance policy or security blanket, right? And also from Stephen Miller's end of things, keeping eyes on Elon Musk, right? There have been some ideas in the past about whether or not Elon would at some point perhaps turn on FDT. We know, all that information about the voting machines, etc., and who would know better than him. But of course, if he did that, he'd implicate himself, right? So, and that's a second question. I want to first look at what's really up with this Katie Miller going with Elon Musk, what that's really about. Second thing I want to look at is now that Musk is gone and DOGE is clearly going to lose its influence. From what I understand, it wasn't just Musk, but it was also a couple of his main people that he trusted and had go in there with him. So some of his main folks have left with him. This has been somewhat of an exodus. Who's left and what's going to be their function and their influence going forward. So I think they're pretty much down the tubes. But does that also mean that it's going to open some doors for what was clearly, a lot of experts have said in the legal community, these were some illegal actions that were taken by DOGE in respect to the firing of so many federal workers. And if, in fact, he's going to be facing charges in the future. We're going to take a look at that. And the last thing I want to look at is we all see it coming, these back and forth seesawing rulings between the judiciary, the federal judiciary, and the administration regarding tariffs. Specifically, there's a lot of issues, deportations, etc., federal workers, etc. But in particular, I'm wondering if regarding the tariffs, because that's what so much of FDT's claim to success is hinging on with his base, right? With his MAGA base. So if that goes by the wayside, what's his next calling card, right? It's going to be crypto, Everybody's going to get rich off quick crypto, including the people who are losing Medicaid. Is that the next plan? Is that the backup plan B? I doubt it, seriously. So that face-off is coming and coming quickly with these cases being appealed and eventually landing in front of SCOTUS. And if SCOTUS rules with and sides with the federal judges, basically backs them up in their ability to function, is he going to defy them? Will it actually come down to him defying the court? All right? And then, and then what? All right, let's go, you all. So I'm going to be reading with, someone gifted me. I cannot wait to use it. It's called a predictions deck by Trish James. Hold that up in case you're interested. I know many of you are readers. All right. So, first question. I feel like I need to cleanse with a little Florida water on this one, you all. Going in on Katie Miller and Elon Musk and Stephen Miller. We'll call it a political throuple. How about that? All right. All right. So, Spirit, please show me what is the main impetus? What is the main energy around Katie Miller going with full-time, working for Elon Musk? What is the real deal? What is the subtext behind that? What is her function? And why? Why is that? Why did she decide to do that? Why was that an agreement between her and the three of them, actually, clearly? Worldwide Earth comes at the bottom of the deck after I shuffled, you all. His global reach, his global plans, Musk's, and his bigger, when he went to when he made that Middle East trip, which, by the way, they say that was a part of his decision to depart and just absolutely say, I've got this, the time has come, because he went there expecting his, his AI endeavor. He was going against Sam Altman of OpenAI, and to get these contracts in the Middle East. And apparently OpenAI won hands down. I think Elon got some things for Starlink, got some permissions to use Starlink, but that was not what he was going after. And we know he's not a person who's accustomed to losing. He hates to lose. So there's this worldwide Earth. There's a renewed focus on his end for protecting his enterprises around the globe and a more global focus. And there's something where, from Miller's standpoint, Stephen and his wife Katie, that was going to be a smart move for her. We have urgent action. Because the time was up. I love the fact that we have that clock in the background. His time was up. he clearly had become a political liability. Musk, Tesla, tanking, all of it. We know all of that. But then it was also the money that he's losing. Him being brought to account with the board of Tesla. There were some talks about him being replaced, yanked out. So he basically had to do that. And she saw whatever offer he gave her, the context of it was basically, if you're going to do this, I need your answer now. I need to know you're with me or not. Spirit, what function will she serve with him? What real function will she serve with him? Royal family, there we have it. Her access, of course, her husband, Stephen, being the senior advisor. If you read some of the non-capitalized social media posts from FDT, the ones that seem to be a little more grammatically correct and more cogent, right? Even if they are diabolical for entertainment purposes only. There are many who are saying it's Stephen Miller who is writing those. So the royal family says she is a go-between, or she sees herself as such, and so does Elon Musk. This gives him continued access, a distraction and an illusion. I like that because she is just enough under the radar, whereas Stephen is not. Stephen's front and center, and he's making himself more and more front and center in the White House. But she is a little more, she's able to move a little more under the radar. And that would be, she can operate, she can be an operative to both be able to keep her husband informed in terms of what she sees and what's happening in Musk's world, and at the same time give Musk a level of reassurance that he still has this connection. I'm going to switch to tarot now and pull there. Spirit. So is she essentially a security blanket for Elon and her husband? Is she a security blanket? Is she a connection, like a connector between the two? And that will really be her main function. Ace of Pentacles. If you work with me, you know my work. I love my aces are my yeses from my spirit guys. That's my team telling me yes, we're on the right track. So 100%. She's a liaison, basically. 9 of Wands. This is not going to be what she thinks it's going to be. She's taking on a lot more. Elon Musk is known for being unreasonably demanding of those he takes under his wing, or brings into his, and the 3 of Cups. Ooh, strain on the marriage. And some people have talked about that, right? What this is going to mean. They got 3 kids together, though. They're young. But this is a strain. And the King of Wands, that's Miller. That's Stephen Miller. Because he's going to make sure that she remembers at all times who... Ooh, excuse me for this. Who's your daddy? That's, And there she is, the Queen of Wands, comes right with him. She's like, of course you are, sweetheart. All right, so... This, again, I'm going back to that distraction and illusion. To a certain extent, I think more is being made of this story just because it is a little salacious, right? The idea that, the senior advisor to in the White House to FDT, that his wife would go with the billionaire who helped put the guy in office. That she would exit stage left and go with him full time. But really, this is more about keeping access between them. Page of Cups, exactly. The flow of communication, a new relationship. I have a little niggle going on there. There is a relationship between Stephen Miller and Elon Musk that has formed and developed during his time there. 10 of Swords, to alleviate the worries that could have developed had Musk felt truly dissed, right? Truly dissed. And because we already know how FDT operates. So, out of sight, out of mind. Yeah, I know you're there, but I'm over here handling some other stuff right now. There were many reports also going back to that Middle East trip that said, whereas before, we all witnessed it in the first couple of months of FTT going back to the White House was, they were stuck at the hip, like on the helicopters and Air Force One together and just, joined at the hip. And Susie Wiles had to apparently put him out, like he wanted an office near the Oval Office. Musk did, right? All sorts of things. And so as that has fractured and distanced itself, this is sort of a replacement to kind of now everything's okay. You still clearly have access to us. If my wife is there with you and you know who I am, come on, we're all royal family. We're all still in this together on some, to some extent. But that said, there's something about our first card, that worldwide earth, you all, that for Musk, his focus is really going to be different, and he's going to hold on to his money in relation to that Four of Pentacles, because remember how much he lost even in that Wisconsin Supreme Court race, right? He said, I'm not going to be pouring my money into politics the way that I once did. And that is another reason why this administration is really pushing this crypto thing and building up its war chest, because they know their funding is not going to come the same way, at least not as much through Musk. Okay, so it's a diversion, it's a distraction, it's a security blanket. She's an operative, she's a liaison, and it's a way of sort of keeping an eye on Musk, Stephen and company and FDT being able to keep an eye on Musk, and Musk to still be able to maintain his influence. And he's got a lot of money tied up in government contracts, and Stephen Miller certainly has a say in some of that as well. So it's more it's just more of an illusion and a distraction in terms of the more, ooh, what's that about? It's not about a whole lot. And I'm not, excuse me, I'm not even getting that she will play that important of a role truly in his, in Musk's sphere. Not really. She's just there. She's a placeholder and she's a security blanket. All right. So let's move on, you all. Will Musk and company, the DOGE goons, as many in social media dub them, will they face charges? Because DOGE is not, the proof that it was supposed to show, its bottom line, 175 billion, I think was the last figure I saw. And then when you put a microscope on that, it's like, no, where, how? Like, none of it has been proven to be helpful and really saving money. Certainly not at the levels that they promised, right? And certainly not anything that would warrant the extent to which lives have been upended, and so many organizations dismantled and completely left in chaos because of this. So, Spirit, you're telling me go to tarot for this. Will Elon Musk and other members of DOGE, will they ultimately face charges for illegally, bypassing Congress, just going in willy-nilly, images of that chainsaw kind of thing, taking that chainsaw to government? Will they face charges for that? Will there be blowback, legal blowback? Will they face charges? Specifically Elon Musk, will he face charges? Bottom of the deck, Five of Wands. It's going to be talked about. That's for sure. It's going to be talked about. The Nine of Wands, because of the existing Department of Justice. Pam Bondi et al. And would they, would they do it? And the only way that they would do it would be if Musk and his DOGE goons become public enemy to them. Like there'd have to be some form of betrayal or some act that they committed that then this administration said, okay, so now this is what we're going to do. And I'm getting confirmation of that, the hermit. Very difficult to go after him. And also I'm getting, because there are things that he knows about the election, because that's the work that was done. That was methodical, the data. Yeah, Three of Pentacles. So that's his group. So will there be people, not Musk, but people that were within his group, his workers, his top aides? Are those going to be? We have the King of Cups and the Queen of Cups. Yes. Okay. If it comes down to it, you all, and if somehow, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hold that upside down. If there's some fallout from this in the future, like I feel this is down the road. This would have to be after the midterms, clearly, and if the Dems retake the House, clearly, because that's the only way some sort of real investigation would probably be launched and get any momentum behind it. But it would not start with Musk. It would be the other people who actually went in those doors and did the things and took the data. Nine of Cups, yes, that's a confirmation. There's a grouping of them. So to the extent that DOGE folk will face some charges down the road, it would start with the underlings and then perhaps work its way up to him being Musk being subpoenaed. But they would try to avoid that, simply because avoid that hangman. Thank you, Spirit. They would try to avoid that because they do not want to antagonize him. He has and he get on that ketamine. We've seen some interesting moments with him, right? He can be a bit of a loose cannon. So again, for entertainment purposes only. So I do not see him, certainly not prosecuted to the point of serving time or anything like that. I do think that should the midterms go the way that many are hoping they will, that you will see some serious investigations and perhaps charges brought against other people within the DOGE world. And that certainly could mean that they would call on Musk to, say, testify before a House committee or a Senate committee or something like that. But actually going after him, he knows too much, you all. He knows too much. Yeah. And which also helps explain, keeping people like Katie Miller near him. All right. And finally, these tariff decisions back and forth. Federal judges are lining up across the board and trying to, uphold the Constitution and uphold the rule of law. DOJ, and now increasingly we understand that they're putting the DOJ in the White House are putting more pressure on these law firms, these large law firms that they got these deals, they brokered deals with to help them, that they are trying to put pressure on them to step in and deal with some of these cases as well, and they are being very reluctant to do so. And they're saying that's not part of our agreement. We said we'd help you, fundraise for common causes that both of us believe in. So there's a lot there, more than meets the eye. And Spirit said that. Spirit said these law firms are not going to come through in the way that FDT and company thought that they were, they were grabbing them by the short hairs. It ain't happening like that. SCOTUS. Spirit. Will SCOTUS side with the judges? Will they uphold the authority of the judiciary? Will they uphold the authority of these judges? Will they render decisions that uphold the authority of these judges who are rendering we have the Two of Pentacles. It looks a little mixed. Well, we already know who the dissenters would be, right? Alito, Thomas, and Gorsuch. Take those three and put them over in however extreme you want to go. Put them over in that column. So that's the Two of Pentacles. I feel like that's a little bit of a split. Three of Pentacles. So I said three of them. So in Gorsuch, Alito, and Thomas. I feel like that's a confirmation going from the 2 to the 3. The split decision. Will they uphold it though, Spirit? Will SCOTUS rule in favor? Knight of Wands. That's going to be the arguments and the papers that have been filed. The 5 of Swords. Wow, they are squirming. Roberts is squirming to try and figure out, how do I give this man what he wants while at least appearing to uphold the Constitution of the United States. He's actually struggling with that. And I know some of you are like, duh, Afefe, he's been struggling with it, right? King of Pentacles. All right, I feel like that is Roberts, Chief Justice. 6 of Wands, victory. All right, that feels a little bit better. I'll show it to you. And the 8 of Pentacles. Okay, ultimately, and this isn't strong enough. These are minor arcana. I kind of wish we had gotten a little more major arcana. I'm going to pull a couple of more and see if we do. For those of you not that familiar with tarot, when you pull major arcana, the energy is bigger. It's like spirit speaking with a bullhorn versus just having a conversation with you, right? Like, so the fact that this is coming in minor arcana, but it is the 8 of Pentacles, the hard work being done, the decisions being rendered, 6 of Wands in a victorious manner. I do think they are going to back the judges. SCOTUS is gonna uphold the rule of law. However, with that 5 of Cups, it looks like there may be some way that they tweak it. In other words, there was also discussion around can a federal judge in a given district issue a ruling that has nationwide effect? That might be something that they challenge, that 5 of Cups. And there's the Star. There is, they will uphold the Constitution. SCOTUS et al. It is going to be a split decision. We have those that are going to completely go off the cliff. And we already said who they are. Those far right justices. But there is enough there to make it hold. And interestingly, and there's Judgment. Thank you, Spirit. I was asking for the major arcana, and there we have it. And there's Judgment, the recognition, the lessons learned, the decisions that come down. They're going to put just enough in there to make this administration feel like they got a bit of a win in that. And again, whether that's somehow adjusting the power of a judge in a given district to make a ruling that takes place nationwide, something along those lines. But the bottom line, protecting the courts, they will come down in favor of that. And there's the Fool. There's almost a desire that they are feeling, SCOTUS is feeling, that they really want this behind them. There have been many media outlets who have said, Roberts helped create this monster with that immunity ruling that they gave, right? This is a lot of their doing. But they want to move on from it. There's so much regret. Not regret as in they did what they did, and they are conservative. Most of them are conservative, and they stand behind that. But they didn't quite see how this was all going to play out. They were really, and there's the Tower coming after the Fool. You all, they want this done and over with. They are already like, this can't be over soon enough. This cannot be over soon enough. They will protect the Constitution, but they will also tweak as much as they can to make him feel that, to make it more difficult for federal judges to do to have their rulings have the intended impact to move the cases along as quickly as they should be moved along based on, the facts at hand. Those kind of procedural issues, putting more red tape into the procedural issues that SCOTUS would approve, well, this is what it is, sending cases back down to the federal level, which we've seen them do that in the past, right? So there'll be more of that that gives FDT a sense of, okay, I still got these guys in my pocket, right? But the baseline, when it comes right down, do judges have authority to uphold the rule of law? They're going to come down in favor of that. And meanwhile, that tower and that fool, like, they are just like, can we please get this behind us? We promise we'll never do it again, right? Or at least Roberts is thinking that. Again, the others could care less. They're, they're still hanging flags upside down for all we know, right? All right. Okay, you all. I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for being with me. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time, your comments. I know many people are feeling very, very turned off from politics right now. I get it. There are some days that, like, I'm cleansing and praying and getting myself together. But the only way that we get ourselves out of this and move beyond it and learn the lessons we have to learn and reestablish some new ground rules for how we want to be as a society is we got to go. This is something that we have to go through. So I appreciate your time with me. I appreciate your attention, your intelligence. So many of you leave incredible comments, and I learn things from you. So I appreciate your energy. This is an exchange. This is a community. And, without you being here, like, what am I doing, right? All right. Thank you again. Remember, chin up. Right? You got this. Chin up. We're all still here. Chin up, our shoulders back. Right? Remember who you are. Remember the divine within you. Remember the power within you. And that's certainly, here we go to the heart. Remember to breathe. Right? Deep breaths. Especially when it gets overwhelming. Especially when anger or fear or frustration tends to want to take over. Get right here. Get right in your heart. All right? And remember, this too shall pass. All right, I'll talk to you. That's certainly what SCOTUS is wishing right about now. All right, you all. I'll talk to you in a couple of days. Bye.